He found a shovel in the passenger's side and began hitting the front of the container. For hours he smashed the container with nothing but the shovel, and finally a little tiny bit of water started to spring forth. It was the equivalent to the stream of a knockoff brand super soaker. James might as well have just tried pissing on the ashes. It was hopeless. His attempt to start a new civilization had literally been watered down to, as the British say, just taking a piss. Caught up in the madness of smashing a metal container with an even smaller piece of metal for hours, James finally shook free of the anger. There was nothing he could do. Earth Mother held all the power, and now even his only friend. He once again returned home in a half-defeated, half-mostly tired manner. When he opened the door of the apartment, he was startled by Bertha screaming, "Hey!" at him. "What the fuff, Bertha? What do you want?" James questioned angrily, glaring at the thing. "I know where Thad is! Wouldn't you like to know?" Bertha injured nearby eardrums. "I know too. Well, I know who he's with, but I don't know what the address is," James informed. "Well, I know, because I have access to some knowledge, you know. But it's not easy to get in there. Only robots are allowed in. All other communication from Earth Mother is sent via letter." Bertha remained at high decibel levels. "But you were made by and worked for Earth Mother. Why would you want to help me?" James appropriately questioned. "She's bored. She hides all the time, and she thinks this will actually be interesting. So let's go see, shall we?" Bertha expelled. "No, that's okay." James nearly slurred. He was exhausted from smashing metal against metal all night and just wanted to sleep. "But the Earth Mother never allows anyone beyond the gates. This makes no sense. I can't." Bertha stopped speaking and then literally exploded into a few burnt pieces that left some black marks on the walls, which was nice considering how silver everything was. James barely made it through a shower, ate a snack really quickly, and then passed out in his bed. James dreamed of the small town in New Zealand. He dreamed that a beautiful woman was in bed with him, and she took his penis and inserted it into her vagina. He shot up in bed, awake, shaking in fear. "What the hell was that?" he said aloud, loud enough that Bertha's corpse slightly shifted. It didn't really help his fear. In the dream, it felt right, but the lack of knowledge on the subject made James terrified. Is this what the scientists were trying to find, he thought? He passed back out and re-entered the dream. Now the woman was putting her lips on his lip and kind of sucking almost. Is that a kiss, James thought? This seems like I should move to wherever this is. I feel like even though everything lately has been a lie or really weird, and this is new and overwhelming, I need to go there. The dream, while the greatest James had ever had or felt, faded out and gave way to a restful night's sleep. Chapter 10. The greatest laugh of his life. The next day he awoke refreshed. He saw that he had extreme sneezed in the night and quickly cleaned up what hadn't already grossly dried up. Bertha's remained on the floor, and that made James smile, knowing he'd never have to hear her yell again. Then he remembered what she had said. Only robots are allowed into the gates. James still had no clue where the gates were, but he thought at least if he figured out how to wear Bertha's body, maybe he had a chance of getting in. He picked up the pieces and stepped inside. Not really much mobility, and he'd have to make an air hole to breathe. He guessed that he'd have to wait until he was nearer to the compound to use it, because it wasn't comfortable or easy to wear. He went to his cabinets for breakfast and noticed there wasn't much there. Being unemployed, he remembered seeing someone steal once on a television show and figured, hey, it's worth a shot. James went down to the corner store. Inside, a slightly unkempt man, in this world meaning his makeup was from yesterday and his nail polish was chipped, stood behind the counter and watched a small TV in the corner. The TV was showing a rerun of the news from last night that James had missed, and James would miss it again because it was time to figure out how to steal, not time to watch TV. James entered a row that seemed far enough away from the cashier. Unfortunately, it only had corn numbs, which were like a combination of popcorn and fresh dirt, because literally they cooked the corn whole, threw it in the dirt to cut it up, and then packaged that. Their slogan was, "God made dirt and it don't hurt, it adds flavor." The number of people that died over the years from eating corn numbs would like to disagree, but they're busy being part of that dirt. James quickly stuffed some in his purse and went to walk out. "Hey," the cashier said, scaring the shit out of James. "Hey," James replied, trying his best to not look scared as shit. "Did you see the news?" the cashier asked. "No, I was busy last night. Why, what happened?" James questioned while really wanting to get the F out of the store. "Someone murdered a water truck on the edge of town," the cashier informed. "Oh, that's weird," James replied. "Totally," the cashier said as he turned back to the TV. James waited for a minute to see if there was any more information, but the cashier never turned back to look at him. So after a few awkward minutes of just standing there, James left the store. Outside, people went about their business. James was the only unemployed person he knew, besides the high school students. Everyone was either in high school or older, so most people during the day were in school or working. A tumbleweed rolled past him and then burst into flames, just to remind us how hot it was outside. If James had known smoke signals, he'd realized the tumbleweed was spelling out the address of Earth Mother. But James didn't know smoke signals, so once again he went back to his apartment.